Hello and welcome back to the channel, everybody. I wanted to do a fish room tour video, except it's kind of like a fish room apartment at this point. But I just want to show off all my tanks, what kind of fish I have, and instead of just doing a separate feeding video, I want to feed them in this video and kind of show what I feed. So to start things off, we are going to start with my 125-gallon all-glass aquarium. It is 125 gallons. It is run by a Fluval FX6 and an AquaClear 110 hang on the back. As far as decorations go, this tank is kind of like a mismatch of all kinds of stuff. This big wooden piece from like Petco, I think. This clumsy dojo loach who has his butt just hanging out of that piece of wood there. He comes through and he takes all my plants and puts them up here. But I have all of my my plants are on plant weights now to kind of help with that problem. This is actually my, I think it's called the Echinodorus major. You know, if you go to PetSmart and they have like those plants that are in like those tubes that have that clear gel at the bottom of them. Well, that's what this was, and this is probably the best one that's ever existed. It's grown huge, and I've had it for a long time. And actually, I did split it, and I have the split of that over here in my 55-gallon. So that's over there growing out, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So I've got some various plants in here, jungle val, anubias, that kind of thing, and some various rocks. These used to be stacked up pretty tall, but the dojo loach thought otherwise and knocked them all over. I've got some cardinal tetras in here, some neon tetras, some mollies, some platies, some guppies. It's kind of a mix of everything. There's a few Siamese algae eaters as well as about 20 Corydoras. I believe they are all Julii. What happened was I was at Petco and I was looking at some Corys and it looked like there's like 6 of them. And I was like, oh, that's a great number of Corys. I'll pick up all of them. And then as they started picking up the decorations and pulling stuff out, it turned out that there was like 16 of them in there and I already had a few. Well, I ended up with about 20, but it was worth it because every now and then you just have like a cloud of Corys just swim by. And it's funny to me, they kind of swim like fighter planes from like World War II, like in formation or something. As far as heating, I have a Hygger heater. I think it's the 800 watt, and I like this one. It's got a really cool display on it. I'm so used to it because I've had this tank for years and years, but the background, this is a Universal Rocks 3D background. What I like to feed these guys for the most part is I've got Vibrobites. They love that. I've got sinking wafers for the Corys. These are, if I can get some light in here, the Aquarium Co-op freeze-dried brine shrimp cubes, and you can see they're excited already. This is Hikari Massivore. Let me put some Vibrobites in here, and some of the sinking pellets, and then I'll just do a couple of the Massivore. And I just have a little feeding hole right here. And they go crazy for the Vibrobites mostly.
Real quick, if you're finding any value in this video, it would make a huge difference if you could leave it a thumbs up. Thanks.
All right, so next up is my 40-gallon low-tech saltwater tank. This is a tank that I've been using to trial my bio rock, which is all the live rock in here is a special made rock that is made out of biohome. So it's basically all filter media, but in a giant rock structure. And the benefits of this is that it's supposed to be able to like have more surface area and media than what you can actually fit in your filters. And I thought for a saltwater system, it's just very fitting. And for this tank, I fed them earlier, but I'll feed them a little bit again today. But I have 2 vivid fancy clownfish, if I can get them on the video here. These guys are awesome. They're always super active. And then there's also some chromis in here. Some blue-green chromis. There's like 4 of them, I believe. And then I have a fancy cleaner shrimp. If I can get focus on him. And he's been doing a pretty good job. You can see him cleaning up the rock right there. There's also 5 hermit crabs, very small blue leg hermits. I can't really find too many of them, but there's one up here next to my coral, and I do have coral growing in here already. This tank's only been set up for like a month, maybe a month and a half, and I've got some green star polyps in here. Oh, perfect right here. If you watch, you can see, if I can get the focus right, I've got a sand sifting goby that is there. You can see him poke his head out. Oh, and he's gone. And there he is. You see him spitting the sand out. He's a yellow diamond goby, and he has been digging like a cave system underneath my rock. And then I also have a 6-line wrasse in here. Since I'm standing in front of the tank, he's going to be behind my filter back here. I have a Tidal 75 filter on this saltwater tank, and it's been doing a great job. But it has about a 1/2 inch gap behind it. And whenever I walk up to this tank, the 6-line wrasse will just shoot from behind the rocks to right up behind the filter there, and he'll stay there until I walk away. But if I do stand like on the other side of the room and I look over, I can see him like swimming around and picking out the rock and stuff. So he's cool. I have 2 of these wave makers, just kind of helping things circulate. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. I like this tank. It's been working great. I can't wait to see how it's going to look when I can start getting some more corals and stuff on here. I normally feed some frozen stuff too, but for now, Saki Hikari marine carnivore sinking pellets. They like this stuff a lot. And so what I like to do, it's hard to do one-handed, and what I like to do is just put a little bit in there first. And I built this lid and I can slide the top, but I'll put a little bit in here at first and I'll kind of get their attention. And then I just put a little bit more in. And yeah, you can see them going crazy for it already. So one kind of cool thing that I set up with this tank is it's supposed to be kind of low tech. I don't have like one of those Neptune systems or anything like that, and I don't really plan on it for a tank like this. However, I got a smart Wi-Fi surge protector outlet kind of thing, and it's down here, and I have everything plugged in over there. The benefits of that is I get to have this app, and so with this I can hit my 40-gallon saltwater tank, and you can see everything I have on here. So my Tidal 75 filter, my heater, the right wave maker, the left wave maker, and then my lights. So I can come in here and just turn off the lights, and you see it's pretty quick, and I can turn them back on. So one of the best parts about this app is for whenever I'm feeding, I don't want all my food being sucked up into the filter. So I could turn off the filter just like that, and before I forget to turn it back on, I hit this button here, and then I go to my filter, and I set a timer. You know, we'll give them 20 minutes or something, and then start. And so it'll start a countdown, and in 20 minutes, my filter will just turn back on its own, and I'm not gonna forget about it. I'm not gonna accidentally leave my filter off overnight and kill a whole bunch of stuff. And the power strip I got for this, it was, I think, $40 at Walmart, and it really turns this tank into, you know, something a little bit cooler. These lights have a built-in timer. These are the Fluval Marine or Fluval Sea. These are very old. I've been using them in the freshwater tank actually. Instead of using the built-in timers, I just use the timers that I have off of the Wi-Fi remote. I like how that's been working, so that's what I've been doing. All right, so the next tank that I want to go to, I guess we can go to my 55 right here. So this tank right here is actually just my grow out tank for my baby ornate Bisher. So he's actually in the back right now, and hopefully he can come out. You could easily see the saltwater tank and the fish in there all the way through 4 feet of this water here. This tank originally started as a grow out tank for my Delhaize Baisher, and when he was finally able to be big enough, I added him into my big 180 Predator tank. Of course he's hiding now that I have him on video. He's right back here, but maybe he'll move. We'll get back to him. I had a big snail issue at one point, and you can see the remnants of some snails in here, and all because of this big snail. But I do have some assassin snails in there, and they have been doing an awesome job at taking them all out. Instead of like taking them and, you know, getting rid of them in some unethical way, I figured if I want to get rid of these snails, I will get rid of them with like assassin snails. So I have, I think, 5 assassin snails in here, and they've been doing a pretty good job. So this is the baby ornate Baisher, the Ornata pinus polypterus. And I am a big fan of polypterus, as you know from my channel. I have a whole bunch of Baisher or polypterus in my big tank, and this guy is going to be one of my biggest fish that I own whenever he gets a little bit bigger. So he's in this grow out tank. So yeah, you see any like small movement, he kind of freaks out. But this is a pretty rare fish, I'd say. They're hard to come by, and they're very expensive. They could be challenging to own because you need to have a really big tank. What he does best is he likes to stick his head out around rocks and plants and stuff like that, and just kind of watch things. They are an ambush predator, they're carnivores, and they like to kind of sit still and hide in places. They come from heavily planted rivers in like West Central Africa. There's a lot of Baisher tanks online where they're mostly just sand, and they like to use the red sand for the colorings, and I'll get more into the kind of habitat and stuff you need for these kind of fish in the future. They like to have a lot of plant cover at a young age as like an instinct to hide in, to keep them hidden from predators and things like birds and stuff that would be in their natural environment that would take them out. Another thing I've noticed about this one in particular is he likes to hang out at the top near my filter. I know I've got a big cutting of my Amazon sword in here, and it's doing great. It's already sending out new leaves. I've got a lot of Pogostemon stellatus octopus that I got from Aquarium Co-op, and I've been cutting them back a lot. And then I can't remember what plant this was. I got it from one of my local fish stores. I really like the look of it. And when I first got it, it was just this one piece here. And then when it got close to the top of the water, I cut it in half, and I anchored it in with some plant weights. And then these, they were the same height, and you can see it's already grown up a whole bunch already. So that's kind of how things are with my 55-gallon tank. Okay, so underneath my 55-gallon, if you come with me, is my 20-gallon tank. And so this tank is kind of cool. It's actually, if I can show you here, if I can get the camera to adjust. So this is all like an all-in-one system that I built myself. Here you can see my extremely over-the-top filtration. I've got fine filter pads. The white pads on the top are actually a cut-up pad from an AquaClear 110 and some egg crate that I built up. And in the middle section is all, you won't be able to see it, but in the middle, it's all biomedia that came out of the sump of my 180-gallon. There's a small Ciche little power head in the back that's putting all the water into this lock line. So in this tank, there's only a few things in here. So I have 5 snails that have been doing a great job cleaning everything up. I've got the star of the show right here is my betta fish, my betta. So I've got the betta fish, I've got 5 of those snails, and then also this cool guy over here. So I've got this bamboo shrimp, and he's kind of a favorite. I love the way that he eats. It's super unique. So like right now, when the water is super clear and there's nothing going on, he picks out the rocks and the algae, and he keeps everything like really clean. He does a really good job. Oh, betta fish is getting in the way. He does a really good job at cleaning this rock that he's on. I kind of made like a little bit of a cave so that if they wanted to get out of the bright light, that they could. I've had him for almost a year, I guess, and he's molted 2 or 3 times already. So in this tank, I like to give them some flakes. I'll crush up a bunch of flakes. That way the bamboo shrimp can eat the flakes out of the water, and then the betta will get flakes also, and then he'll get vibrobites. These are the flakes that I like to use, but this container is the vibrobites. So he knows it's food time. All right, last but not least, we're gonna come over here to my 180-gallon tank. And this is my main display tank. This is my pride and joy. This has all of my favorite fish, and this is the one I spent the most time with as far as maintenance and trying to make it look pretty. I have kind of like an aquascape that I'm proud of finally. I've got this really giant piece of driftwood. It's about 3 feet long and it weighs a ton. I got this from a local fish store, and I try to keep it looking nice with a lot of Java fern and stuff, but you have a lot of issues like this one floating here, and some of them are stuck to my filter over there, and that's thanks to this guy here who likes to take all my plants and redecorate. But in this tank, the newest addition is going to be this Texas cichlid, and this guy is just a beautiful fish. If I can get him to come to the front, maybe I can overlay some B-roll of him. This is one of my favorite cichlids so far. He is amazing, really great colors, beautiful fish all around. And then the second newest addition is going to be this Dechlorinators Bisher. I was worried when I put him in that he'd be too small and the other Bischers would eat him. And then this is my Oscar. My Oscar is pretty big. He's almost a year old now. You can see some of these plants have plant weights on them, and that just kind of keeps the Oscar from tearing everything up as much as he does. There's an Endlicheri Bisher right here. There's another Endlicheri right here, Endlicheri, however you want to say it. And then my very big ornate, you can see the yellow and black colors in the back. That's where he is. And this tank is filtered with a giant 55-gallon sump I have underneath, and then also I have an FX4 just to kind of polish the water a little bit. So for food, these guys get all kinds of stuff. My all-time favorite thing to feed this tank is the Northfin carnivore, but as you can see, this bag is empty already. I got myself a 2-pound bag. It's like 2.2 pounds, and this Northfin carnivore food is probably one of the best pellets for large predator and just big carnivore fish in general. This is like the best food I can find. And for the most part, if you read out in the back, I'll put it up on the screen. Right here, 48% crude protein. So if you compare that to like cichlid gold here, is only 40% crude protein. So this stuff has way more protein than something like cichlid gold. It's got more protein than the Massivore Delight, and it's super high quality. And you see the pellets here. They're pretty good size. I'll throw one in there, and we'll see. The Oscar will probably eat it. Yep, there you go. You see, they love this stuff. I'm glad I finally got around to taking you all with me to see what kind of fish I have and the kind of tanks that I managed to set up in my tiny apartment. Don't tell my landlord, but do go ahead and check out one of these videos of mine that YouTube thinks you'll like. Thanks for hanging around, and I'll see you in the next one.